Oh, snap. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, subscribe to the channel, YouTube. Hit the follow button, TikTok. Welcome in. So, Bryan Kohberger, apparently there's all kinds of craziness going on with Kohberger. Like cell phone photos, searches, new footage. Like, there's all kinds of craziness going on there. So, let's talk about it. I saw Christina Randall did a couple of videos. Let's check them out. See what's going on in Bryan Kohberger world. You guys ready? Let's do this.
About this Bryan Kohberger situation because you guys. And after I finish filling y'all in on this information that was dropped in these new courthouse documents, at the end of this video, I'm going to be going over what Kaylee's father said in a recent interview and the bombshell information that he dropped. I mean, whoa. What? We're also going to be talking about this never seen before security camera footage that has recently been released by Dateline. So stay tuned for that too. First, we're going to talk about Bryan Kohberger's Amazon history. Now, we talked about this before. If y'all did not watch the video that I put out just before this one, this one right here, go and watch it first. But we talked about how it came out in these court documents that the prosecution believes that Bryan Kohberger ordered the K-bar knife in March of 2022 and then searched for an actual replacement sheath just days after the incident happened in November of 2022.
That is crazy. They have his search history, or somebody with that Amazon account that they think is him bought that knife and then bought a replacement sheath.
Mind you, I want to throw this in here real quick because Bryan Kohberger's defense team went to the judge, if y'all remember, and wanted that whole Amazon history part about the K-bar knife to be thrown out, saying that other people could use his computer. The judge denied it, saying, yeah, but it was shipped to him. And very easily, if that was
somebody else used my computer but shipped it to me.
Why the fuck you lying?
That is crazy to say. I've never heard anybody say something like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, it was fraud. Somebody stole my credit card and used it. Yeah, must have been fraud. Yeah, but it was shipped to you. Oh, yeah.
Creepy, weird, and horrible. The case, whoever that lived in the house that ordered it could have came and testified and said, no, I'm the one that ordered it. So anyways, now it has come out in court documents that the prosecution believes that Bryan may have actually tried to delete his Amazon history. Oh yeah, the document says after the incident, the user navigated pages related to the deletion of an account activity and then a week later viewed pages associated with a K-bar knife and sheath. You guys, again, I mean, how many coinky-dinks? Well, we're just getting started. As you know, the defense does not want this information to be included in the trial, and I'm sure you can imagine why. Also, do y'all remember the bushy eyebrows conversation? Oh my gosh, where they wanted the word
bushy eyebrows
to be thrown out of court, and they did not want to allow the roommate DM to be able to testify about seeing somebody with bushy eyebrows.
Oh hell! You heard Dateline got in a lot of hot water for that? Did they really? Oh, they got in trouble for playing that footage?
Because they said that she was intoxicated the night of the incident. However, the judge ruled that there is no legal basis to exclude her testimony, and that the judge, believes that her testimony is in fact highly relevant in this case. I agree. He also said that there is nothing confusing about her testimony about the bushy eyebrows, and it has been very consistent and clear from the beginning. The judge also ruled that the DNA testimony and the suspect car testimony that we talked about in my recent videos will be allowed in as well. And if y'all remember, if y'all watched the last video that I put out about Bryan Kohberger, they were talking about this in court. And the prosecution wants to be able to bring in the body cam footage from the police with Bryan Kohberger being pulled over. And I was telling y'all, this guy gets pulled over so much. Well, in this video, allegedly,
it's crazy.
he's going back and forth with the officer talking about, well, I don't think I should have to wear a seatbelt. Like, to me, it's giving I'm above the law, or I know more about the law than you do, or I'm the smartest person in the room because I have a PhD in criminology. And almost like the way I'm reading it is almost like trying the police, because I don't know about y'all, but I can't imagine getting pulled over and being like, going through my checkbook. Well, I don't believe this. Yes, I don't have my seatbelt on, but I don't believe there's for safety anyways. Or why do you need my phone number? Or why do you need to identify? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just bizarre. It doesn't matter though, because the judge is going to allow it in. Also, if you remember, the defense wanted to exclude the prosecution's.
She said it's just bizarre. Totally bizarre. By the way, YouTube, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, we're live every night. Plus, we're live on YouTube where you can actually see the videos. TikTok won't let me show you them, but you can see them on YouTube. It's The Mystery Project. See it right behind my shoulder. Can you all read that? The Mystery Project. That's the name of the channel. Come on over. We're live there right now.
Expert testimony regarding when and how the DNA was found on the sheath and how it was transferred there. They argued that it conflicted with the current standard in the forensic science community and that it's outside the expert's expertise and that it's speculative. They also argued that the words
it's speculative. What the
touch and contact DNA should be prohibited at the trial because it's misleading. However, the judge ruled that the expert can give her testimony and that she is scientifically qualified. The judge did order that misleading DNA levels should be avoided. He also asked the lawyers to
misleading DNA levels? What the hell does that mean?
Avoid the use of terms that could be misleading as much as they can, and said that the lawyers should submit a mutually agreed on instruction to provide the jury in case the terms are accidentally used. And like I said before, the judge is also allowing the suspect car testimony to be included at the trial. The defense argued that it would be improper for the state to identify the vehicle seen on surveillance footage as suspect vehicle 1 or otherwise, but the judge has said in his order that he believes that law enforcement's opinion that the vehicle captured on the surveillance footage is not based on unsupported theories or possibilities. So,
right.
It's going to be allowed in court and in the trial. And the judge said that the jury, is free to weigh the evidence for themselves as they are the ultimate fact finders. So in other words, the prosecution brings their evidence, and then the defense defends, or the defense brings their defense, and then the jury will decide. Then the judge also issued rulings about Bryan's autism diagnosis and how that will affect his trial and sentencing. And what I found most interesting in this document was the part where the judge said that the court is not blind to the fact that the jury will be scrutinizing Bryan's behavior in the courtroom, but that allowing testimony literally about his autism diagnosis would be improper evidence. He says that if anything, presenting that evidence will focus the juries even more on Bryan's behaviors and that they will likely not have noticed it in the first place. So the state's motion to prohibit that testimony was indeed granted. Now, as far as sentencing, the judge ruled that a categorical exemption from the DP just solely based on Bryan's autism diagnosis is not warranted, okay? He said...
Right. Y'all, I actually found it. It says Dateline. Says hopefully you get dragged into court. So basically it says based on sensitive information not previously publicly circulated, it was reported during a recent Dateline TV program. It appears likely that somebody currently or formerly associated with law enforcement or the prosecution team violated the court's non-dissemination order. So whoever gave them that footage or however they got that footage, they shouldn't have been able to get it because of the non-dissemination order. Ooh. Y'all, we'll jump into that after this.
That ASD is not equivalent to an actual disability for purposes of the DP. Basically meaning like, just because you're diagnosed with autism does not mean that you get a pass from the DP. If you've committed a crime where
that egregious, yeah, you still get the penalty.
The DP can be given and the state wants to try you on DP. It's not insanity. It's autism. That's basically in layman's terms. There was also a ruling on the motion about the 911 call. Y'all remember we talked about that in the other video as well, and the text between the roommates and so on. And the ruling does say that a transcript of the 911 phone call will be allowed in the trial and some of the text and statements. But something else that caught my eye in this motion, it says on the night of the incident, okay, when DM was running from her bedroom to the other roommate, BF's bedroom, she actually saw Xana laying on the floor of her bedroom with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door. DM said that she thought that Xana was just drunk. She thought her friend was drunk, passed out, laying down. And again, I just can't help but to feel empathy for the two roommates here. They are going to have to live with this, and they're living with it now. I mean, this whole trial process has drug on now almost 3 years. It'll be just a couple months short of 3 years by the time the trial starts, and they are victims too. In the most recent court documents that have come out, the judge ruled that Bryan's family will be allowed to watch the trial, even though some of them may actually be called as witnesses. And remember, they're going to be called as witnesses on the prosecution side. Yeah, not for the defense, but for the prosecution. So whatever they said or did in those early days of the investigation, I don't know. Now, the judge said that even
she said, I don't know.
So they may be called as witnesses. The fact that his family members' testimonies will be pretty narrow and that they have already been previously interviewed, in my opinion, meaning they're going to be asked or questioned about stuff that they've already said, probably recorded or video recorded. And so they're just going to have to repeat what they've already told investigators. It's not like something new is going to be coming out. This should protect them against any attempt by the family to change their testimony based on how others testify before them, which I thought is very interesting. Also, because the trial will be so public, he doesn't find it necessary to keep them out of the courtroom. And I do agree, they should be allowed in the courtroom. I was expecting him to make them testify in the very beginning, kind of like what happened with Nikolai Mew, where his family members and friends who needed a translator. I think that actually went to his detriment, but nevertheless, they testified early on in the trial, but the judge isn't going to do it this way here. He's going to let them go and flow right on in with the trial. There was also a closed hearing just earlier this week on May 5th that a lot of people were speculating whether or not a plea deal was being offered. I did not believe a plea deal.
Can you imagine? I mean, it could just go to a plea. To save from the penalty because they're so concerned with that. Ooh, what do you think? By the way, YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live basically every night. So come on in, welcome in, hit the follow button. And if you want to watch this video, you can see it on YouTube. The Mystery Project, we're live there right now. Can you guys see it? Thumbs up in the chat if you can see it over my shoulder. The Mystery Project. We're live there right now. Come subscribe. Let's check this out.
Was being offered, but I did think it was a chance that a plea deal was being asked. And I don't know if they've asked for a plea deal or not. We don't know that, and I don't think that would be something that would be made public unless it was accepted between both parties. Because if the defense goes to the prosecution, this is my unprofessional opinion, y'all. If the defense goes to the prosecution and says, listen, will you cut us a deal? And they go back and forth, basically some people will consider that an admission of guilt, right? Well, why would you ask for a plea deal if you're not guilty? And then if the state says, no, we're not going to give you a plea deal, well, then they've just admitted guilt in some people's eyes. So I feel like if those conversations happen, it is going to be very private. However, it has since
Right? Can you imagine?
Come out that the hearing was actually
It's Christina Randall that we're listening to, Roots.
About the state asking for a mental evaluation to be performed on Bryan. The judge agreed to allow it, but he said that the lawyers cannot be present for it and that they can watch it, though, on a video feed. And when I heard that, I wonder, and I don't know if this is possible. I don't know about the technology nowadays. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I wonder if Bryan knows how to maneuver these types of things because he studied it. I mean, we literally saw where allegedly while Bryan Kohberger was still in school, he was putting out like these forums to have people who committed certain crimes like this write in and talk about their mental state, what they were thinking during the crime, what they were feeling, basically how they were feeling before, during, after, how they got away with it, like literally studying the minds and the thoughts. And it makes me wonder if he has the ability to get the results that he wants. Maybe he doesn't. You know, maybe he doesn't, but I can't help but to wonder, right? Kind of like if you had
That sounds crazy as hell.
Had somebody that was a lie detector expert, and then you go and give them a lie detector test. You'd be like, now, you know what? You know, that's how I'm looking at it. So this little
I don't know if can you be an expert at a lie detector test? I mean, the way to be an expert is to tell the truth.
How dare you?
You know what I mean? Like, I'm an expert at lie detecting tests. I just simply speak the truth.
tidbit is very interesting. So Dateline has recently released this piece of security camera footage that looks like it's being taken from across the street from the Idaho home. As you guys can see, here's the home right here at the top left of the video. Well, on 11/13/2022, there is a white
I don't even see how they know what that is. It looks like just a ball of light.
car that can be seen driving around and around. You see the car drive around on the security camera footage at 3:33 a.m. and then again at 3:38 and then at 3:40. It's almost like whoever was driving this white car was waiting for their chance to stop and do what they were doing, like they were casing the home. Y'all watch it and let me know what you think down below. Now let's talk about what's been going on with this Dr. Catherine Ramsland. There was a recent article that came out from Howard Blum that claimed that Bryan committed these crimes to impress his former psychology professor, this Dr. Ramsland. Now, according to this article, the prosecutors were supposedly preparing to argue that the student was ready to be
He did this to impress somebody?
become the
Did y'all hear this? I didn't hear this. What the hell?
teacher, and that Bryan would end people's
This is what happens when they put like a non-dissemination and a gag order on all this stuff. Speculation runs rampant. Now we're talking about he did all this to impress a doctor. What?
lives and get away with it.
Maybe he did, but that just seems crazy as hell to me.
That he would prove how smart he was and he would show how much he had learned. However, this Dr. Ramsland has since come out and she has denied all of these claims that were made in this article.
Of course she denies it. What kind of idiot would say, "Oh, yep, it's true. We had an affair. It's true. I told him to impress me."
She even said that she had no email correspondence with Bryan Kohberger and has not been in contact with him since his arrest. She said that she did call his parents, though, as a gesture of kindness, but she did not advise.
Oh, damn, maybe there was something going on. Why would your college professor call your parents as a gesture of kindness?
Them about the case. She also denied claims from the article that said that she had discussed a book with Bryan's sister. Howard Blum, the person that wrote this piece, has acknowledged his error regarding the email correspondence, but he defended his overall theory and called it a hypothesis. Now, the last thing that I want to talk
hypothesis
to y'all about today is an interview that Kaylee's father, Steve, did on a YouTube channel here recently. And I'm going to leave it linked down below. And encourage y'all to go and watch it yourself. I'll put the name of the YouTube channel up right here that he did this interview on. And you guys, when I tell y'all some nuggets were released, the nuggets that were released, I was going, ooh, should you be saying all of this? But obviously he knows what he's doing. A couple things that he said that he is happy with this new judge, Judge Hippler.
Oh yeah, because that dude takes, like, he's just doesn't put up with anything.
Liking what I've seen out of Judge Hippler. You know, not to say anything bad against Judge John Judge. It's just there's a different attitude, a different confidence, a different way of controlling the court. Have you noticed the difference? And I know you were a little bit against the move to Ada County. Do you feel the same way now?
You know, you can have both things, right? You can be disappointed that the community that was hurt the most isn't the one that's able to see the justice. And I don't want to live in a country or a world where only our biggest societies are the ones that are able to orchestrate justice. You know, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to be in a big city for you to be able to have the facilities and the resources to actually have justice. I think that's a bad message, and I'm still against that. But it is what it is. Montauk County, they didn't have the resources. They couldn't get it done. It was nothing against Hippler, but that courtroom was a fraction of the size of the one we're going to. I mean, it didn't even have an elevator. This one has an elevator of at least, I'm going to say 6 floors. I haven't been on all of them. I typically just go straight to Hippler's, which is on the 5th floor, and I get out there and go straight to his court. So, and the security, all the different things that they have, there's a lot that goes into a case that gets the attention of the nation. So, I was disappointed that we had to move it, but
Good, Jennifer.
I believed in the leadership of the state of Idaho that they would go out and find somebody who was built for this case. And that's exactly what happened. They went and found somebody who was understood the struggles that we were going through. And we got a leader that could go in there and clarify and understood the law, could figure it out on the fly. And you see that all the time. I mean, even presents logical arguments that I've been hoping somebody would, which just speeds the whole processes up. Otherwise, you know, you send everyone home, then they build the arguments, and then they come back and they say something that could have been spoken right then and there. So I'm definitely happy with Hippler, and I think he's more than fair. And things are moving. Things are moving. You know, it felt like we went 2 years without anything happening. So I'm glad to be in a.
Oh, hell. Yo, what do you think? You think he did it? You think, or because I've seen the conspiracy theories that are like, oh, it wasn't him, it was somebody else, but the police department to like have a suspect, they found him or they had him. What do y'all think?
Situation where this is an every day of my life. Hopefully we don't go past 3 years, and you know, we get to the bottom of this.
He also said that this is not an innocent person in jail that they don't have any evidence on. You know, like you have like certain situations where they've got one little piece of evidence. This is a person that they have sitting in jail with mountains of evidence that there's no explanations for.
A grand jury did an indictment, and that indictment basically pulled him off the streets. So I remind people, I remind my children that we don't have like an innocent person in jail, that there is no evidence. We actually do have somebody in jail with a bunch of evidence. And if he doesn't have answers for that evidence, I believe the case is over.
Steve also.
What do y'all think about that? I mean, there's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence. The DNA, though, I mean, it's hard to argue that. But that's the thing, though, is to say, like, we don't have an innocent man in there. Well, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. I think that it's very likely, like, it seems very likely with the little bit that we know, it seems pretty likely that he was involved, or, you know, did it or was involved or something, right? But, I mean, he is innocent right now, technically speaking. Y'all tell me. I don't know. TikTok, hit that follow button, though. Bunch of new people in the house. My name's Patrick. Hit that follow button. Let's keep going. YouTube, hit me with some thumbs up, too. Let's get 50.
Also talked about how there's no perfect crime anymore because basically there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras on cars.
There's no such thing as a perfect crime ever.
Everywhere. I mean, you've got literally like Teslas that have cameras inside, outside. There's just cameras. People have cell phone cameras. There's all kinds of technology everywhere. Yeah. So there's no perfect crime. And I thought that that was very interesting. But the bombshell that he dropped in this interview was about Kaylee. And he said that Kaylee was actually punched in the face.
We talked to Mabbit, and she basically said that...
What? Did y'all know that? Punched in the face?
They were in the bed together. They had passed away, but she's seen markings and damages that made her suspect that that there was more to what had happened to them in that bedroom. So, I mean, I'll say he struck my daughter. You know, I'll give that out. He punched her, and you know, so for all those people who think he's a great guy, now he punched my daughter right in the face. So, yeah,
whoa,
he's got some shit coming to him. You know, we're coming for him. That's one thing that was a little bit different. There's more to it, but I'm gonna have to sit down with make sure that I don't say something that, you know, is gonna play into the case and tie anybody's hands.
He also said that there was a previous serial in that same area in Idaho that was like hugging the state lines, who basically had gotten away, I guess, some time back, and that he believed the person that did this, which he believes it is indeed Bryan Kohberger, thought that he was going to get away with it too because the other situation happened. But he didn't.
Was there ever a time when they may have told...
Oh, I did see that. Remember we talked about that a while back, y'all, that there was somebody else that had broken into a house and, like, I think with like a K-bar looking thing too and everything, and like nothing happened. Like they ended up like fighting him off or something. You remember that, y'all? Something happened and that person ran. But yeah, I do remember that.
That they believe that the person who committed this crime was outside of her circle, a stranger, so to speak.
Yeah, very early on they talked about they being the FBI. So we have an FBI satellite in the location right here in Coeur d'Alene. So we went down there and they laid out a profile for us. Said we wouldn't be surprised if this individual picked this community on purpose, because I guess they knew by the crime scene that this was a planned out event. There wasn't, they would know how something would look like if it's, you know, like a domestic violence type thing. It's going to look different than a crime where somebody sneaks in, gets to the people, kills them, and then gets out and doesn't leave a bunch of evidence, a bunch of blood trails out and all that type of stuff. So, early on, they said that they think that this individual picked this community, they wouldn't be surprised if he was on hugging the border of Washington. He was on the Washington side. There was I think a Lewis and Clark murder case that was 5 victims, and they never figured out who it was. So if this person was studying law, they may have known that this community had already had a serial killer come into their area, and
oh hell,
then they got away with it. So that, you know, and if this person wanted to go to a college and go get, you know, education, then, you know, he had 2 colleges to pick from, and he was also going to an area that didn't have a history of always catching their serial killer.
He talked about a lot more stuff in there. I encourage y'all to go and watch this video. He talked about talking to the FBI. Oh yeah. And you should watch it, guys. You should really watch it and see what all he says. So what do y'all think? Do you think it's going to make it to trial? This is what I think. I think right now it's on track to go to trial, but I would not be surprised if something happens before then. However, I just don't know if I think the state would agree to a plea anyways. The only way I think that the state would agree to a plea, you know, for like life in prison versus the DP and save everybody the hassle of a trial is if the families agreed on it. Now, from everything I've seen from Kaylee's family, they don't want life in prison. They don't want the person that did this to their loved ones breathing the same air, basically. Okay. But there are three other families involved. And so I think that if 3 of the 4 said, nah, we don't want to do the trial, then maybe the state would offer. I don't know. But there's so much evidence here. I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think?
Y'all moving right into the next video too. Make sure you go subscribe to Christina Randall too. She's pinned down in the description of this video if you're not following her already.
This is even going to actually make it to trial at this point. I actually don't think that these types of documentaries should be coming out.
No, this is talking about the Dateline one, which they did actually get in trouble. I looked it up. Apparently, whoever they got the footage from, either law enforcement or formerly law enforcement, or part of the prosecution or something, violated the court's non-dissemination order.
For a trial. I did not think it was right when they did that with the Alec Murdaugh trial, and I don't think it's right, and this is just me, my unprofessional opinion. Y'all know I'm not a professional. I pull all my information from public news sources that's already out there. I filter it through my own words and opinions, and yeah, I tell y'all to go do your own research and form your own opinions. But my very unprofessional opinion, just something about it seems wrong when there's a trial hanging in the air. However, I have to assume that Dateline knows what they're doing legally, and they have crossed their T's and dotted their I's to make sure they're not crossing any boundaries.
Yeah, because news organizations haven't been sued for lying about all kinds of stuff and stupid people saying stupid things. Well, he did this. Nope. That's a big lawsuit right there.
Or saying or doing anything that could actually affect the integrity of the trial on both sides, on Bryan's side and on the family's side. Y'all already know, I believe from the evidence that's already out there as of right now, okay, I have not seen the defense's case, but I believe that they got the right.
Their case is that he was stargazing, y'all, on a cloudy ass night.
Guy. I believe Bryan did it.
It seems like it. TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. Come over to YouTube if you want to watch this video with us. The Mystery Project. And YouTube, hit the thumbs up button for me.
With that, these documentaries like this that come out before the trial, to me, something about it just seems off. However, it's already out there. All the big news sources are reporting on it, and so we're talking about it here too. First, let's talk about the new security footage that actually came out last week. Now, I included this in my last video, but I want to talk to you guys about it again because the Dateline documentary really did a good job of laying out the whole timeline of the incident and corresponding it with the security camera footage. Now, what I found to be the most interesting part about this footage is the fact that the car suspected to be Bryan's Hyundai Elantra appears to actually speed away after the incident took place.
It's true.
Now, also, remember in the beginning of this investigation, there was an audio clip that was floating around of what sounded like moaning and like a dog barking.
What?
Coming from the King Road house while the incident was actually happening. I mean, it was rumored if this audio was real or not, or if you could make out what you were really hearing. Well, in the Dateline documentary, they seem to confirm that this audio is real. So here's the clip. Check this out. If that audio really came from the house.
Whoa.
Like.
It almost sounded like music, but like, I don't know.
Chills. Now let's back up just a little bit. Now, back before the incident actually happened, in the Dateline episode, they talked about how when Bryan first moved into his apartment, he went down to a pool party and he was seemingly trying to like socialize and meet new people. One person that he met was a woman named Holly. Now, in this.
Oh, yeah, I saw this. It sounds like a woman screaming. Let's listen to it again. I want to listen to it again.
While the incident was actually happening. I mean, it was rumored if this audio was real or not, or if you could make out what you were really hearing. Well, in the Dateline documentary, they seem to confirm that this audio is real. So here's the clip. Check this out.
I do hear that. The very beginning, it's like, oh my God. Like even oh my God, no. Listen real closely.
Audio is real. So here's the clip. Check this out.
And then the dog bark. Ooh, that's terrifying.
If that audio really numbers, she said that she got at the pool party, she was actually talking to Bryan about hiking, and they ended up exchanging phone numbers. She said that she got a peculiar text from him.
I was kind of mingling and socializing and started chatting with this guy, and he had told me that he had just moved and he was starting his PhD. To me, he seemed a little awkward, kind of...
Oh, no.
Like you might expect for a PhD student who didn't know anyone at the party and was maybe trying his best to kind of get out there and be social and make friends. The wording of the text as I look back on it is kind of peculiar. It was almost overly formal.
Also in the episode, they talked about how one of Bryan's co-workers actually believed that Bryan may have broken into her apartment. This was actually also reported back...
What?
You what?
In 2023, but it was never confirmed by any officials. This was back when the coworker reported asking Bryan for help installing security cameras around her house after she believed it had been broken into. Do y'all remember this? All those videos back. I have a whole playlist. No. We talked about this. Well, in the Dateline documentary, it seemingly was confirmed. Now, this person was not in the documentary, and it makes me wonder if that's because she's going to be testifying in court. Now, it was said that Bryan agreed and helped this young lady install these security cameras. But it was speculated even way back then that Bryan only helped her install these cameras so he could get access to them himself. Since he was the one hooking them up, meant that he would know all of the co-workers, like Wi-Fi passwords, sign-in information, and all of that stuff. And if he did, imagine y'all, because this was in an apartment complex. So she was having these security cameras in her home and everything, meaning he could have been watching her from inside. But guess what? There's even more.
That dude's... That dude was sitting at home on the couch watching footage.
Details about this situation.
If that's true, that's probably exactly what happened.
That was revealed by Dateline in this episode. This coworker was someone who, according to Dateline, shared an office space with Bryan at WSU. She was even supposedly romantically interested in Bryan at one point.
How dare you!
But he apparently rejected her.
Oh no.
Strange, right? But
did y'all know any of that? I didn't know any of that.
According to her, things got kind of creepy. She says that one day when she was at home alone, she baked a cake, but she burnt it, so she left it on her oven before she left her apartment. So, okay, she's baking this cake, she burns it, she leaves it on top.
Don't tell me somebody American pied the cake. No, don't tell me he American pied it. Don't go there. It's probably just gonna be a bite taken out of it, but I don't know why my mind went to that.
Top of, the stove or the oven, and then she goes about her day and does what she does. She said that when she got back home, the burnt cake was in the microwave, which is not where she left it. Like somebody came in, was snooping around, and moved the cake into the microwave, almost like messing with her. Then she says that she went up to her bathroom and she saw that all of her toiletries had been lined up in a neat row on top of her toilet, which is not where she normally kept them.
Man, I'm moving out. If I come home and a cake that I made that I left out is in the microwave and all my toiletries are lined up neatly, I'm bye. Calling the realtor real fast. Staying at a hotel from then on. And like quick close. Later. Not dealing with any of this shit. That is crazy. By the way, TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. A bunch of new people in. My name's Patrick if you like true crime. I'm live pretty much every night. Plus, we're live over on YouTube where you can see this video. It's The Mystery Project. That's the name of the channel on YouTube. So y'all come on over and subscribe. The Mystery Project on YouTube. We're live there right now and you can actually see the video. And YouTube, let's get 100 likes. Hit that like button.
Then she said that she realized an important watch and a letter were completely missing. All of this was very weird to her because just before this happened, she realized that her apartment key had gone missing. She had actually reached out to Bryan and asked him if he had it or if he knew where it was, but he denied it. But then, just a few hours later, it suddenly reappeared back in her apartment. Yeah, just inside of her apartment.
Nope. Done.
Nothing was stolen from her home either. This was apparently the break that led her to asking Bryan to help her install the security cameras.
She should have had cameras already up, like a little nanny cam somewhere. Catch him coming in and doing all that stuff.
Now she wants...
Because somebody moved your cake. Somebody put all your toothpaste and everything in a row. I'd be trying to catch that person. And then be like, oh, will you come help me put these security cameras in? Something weird's happening here. But there's already cameras in there. I'd be like, gotcha. Gotcha.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Wonders if it was Bryan the whole time that stole her key, broke into her place just to scare her or mess with her or maybe frighten her into allowing him to help her install these security
That's a creepy ass stock footage.
cameras so he would have access to them. When I
Nightmares
saw
from
that on the Dateline episode, all I could think about was BTK and these certain serial...
Somebody just said that too, that his senior project was on BTK. Purple Blaze, yeah. Kohberger did a senior project on BTK. What?
You what?
That is crazy.
Real people that we know from the past. And remember, Bryan Kohberger studied these people, a PhD, criminology major. He was very well connected with BTK. And the professor that he was under allegedly even goes to visit BTK in prison. I mean, that close.
Dear Lord.
Would go into people's homes and steal just little nonsensical items as little keepsakes. So I cannot help but to wonder if this is what he was doing. He was kind of gearing up. He was testing the waters. It was also revealed in the Dateline episode that Bryan had allegedly been browsing photos of dozens of local female college students in bathing suits. They say that some of the accounts that Bryan was looking at
in bathing suits?
What the fuck?
Oh, no.
Were friends or followers of Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. Yes. Then the episode talked about how in September and October, right before the incident occurred, Bryan was Googling things like sociopathic traits in a college student and can sociopaths behave pro-socially. Some would say that these searches may have been related to his high school work or his college work, but some wonder if Bryan realized he may not have been behaving normally. Maybe he realized that he was unraveling. And then again, maybe he was trying to see if his actions and the way that he was behaving in social interactions was showing the signs. Maybe he already knew he had these issues, but he wanted to act in a way that others could not recognize. There's a lot of theories or reasons why he could have been Googling.
That shows deception.
Those things. At the same time, the episode reported that Bryan was also looking at porno and using search words like...
Oh, hell. Because you can't say the other word on any platform.
Like drugged, sleeping, forced, and passed out. Creepy, weird, and horrible. Think about this. He was looking at pleasurable or things to maybe over medicated type of stuff.
How dare you?
I don't know, you guys.
That is crazy as hell.
Guys, I mean, videos ago, I said this guy must be the most unlucky guy in the world if he's innocent, right? I think a lot of people are past that, thinking that that's even a possibility at this point, but you never know. You know, still got to go to trial. But just even the thought to look up that type of stuff is so weird to me.
That is
like
very strange.
That's what you want to see, is that type of content of a person passed out or over, you know what I mean? Creepy. This episode also had an FBI agent that analyzed Bryan's phone records and talked about how allegedly Bryan's phone connected to a cell phone tower, providing coverage within 100 meters of the King Road home 23 times over 4 months before the incident. Each incident,
that part is crazy too,
was after dark, and one visit was just 6 days before the incident. Something else that I found really interesting in this episode is that they showed a 3D recreation of how their sources believed that the incident happened.
Oh, hell.
They said that Bryan entered the home through that sliding glass door, took a right, and went straight up to Maddie's room, where he found Maddie and unexpectedly found Kaylee in the bed with her. They were, they had been up all night and they were in the bed together. Then they said that they believed that Xana must have heard a commotion and went upstairs to see what was going on, while Ethan stayed asleep in their bed, like Ethan was passed out from drinking. Then they said that they believed that Xana saw Bryan, ran back down the stairs to her room with Ethan, and that is when Bryan went after her. Then they mentioned that something had actually been carved into Ethan's leg.
What?
I remember that we heard rumors about this in the very beginning.
I didn't hear this.
Beginning of the investigation, but it was never confirmed. However, it seems that Dateline is confirming that they have a source that is saying that this did happen. Now, they did say
that is crazy,
that they believe that Maddie was the actual target, but it's still very unclear if that is true or not. And if it's not, how did Bryan decide on the King Road house? I'll be interested to hear what the state's theory is on that during the trial. Right. I also wonder if Bryan was exhausted by the time he saw DM, the roommate that survived, open her bedroom door, and that's why he ended up leaving her alive. I mean, given the surprise of Kaylee being in Maddie's bed, Bryan supposedly was running after Xana and then having to take on Ethan as well. He could have very well just been utterly exhausted, and maybe he was just worried that DM had already called 911 and he knew he needed to get out of there. Remember the security camera footage of him speeding away? That kind of is starting to make sense, because I know a lot of y'all had questions of why would he leave somebody alive? Well, if he had been through all of that, maybe he thought, I better get out of here right now. Something else that I find very intriguing that was mentioned in the Dateline episode was that according to the FBI expert that analyzed Bryan's phone, he said that Bryan called his father just over 2 hours after the incident, around 6 a.m., and talked to him for about an hour. Now, I wonder what they could have been talking about. Now, think about this. Bryan turned off his cell phone for those 2 hours around that time. Okay, that incident happened. This phone call,
that part is pretty crazy too,
was just before the bathroom.
Like, just not for the day, not for the night. You know what I mean? Not to like turn the Wi-Fi off so I can finally get some real sleep without the aliens listening or something like that. Just those 2 hours. Just not at all. It's not on.
Selfie that came out a few weeks ago. I also wonder if when they look at Bryan's phone records, if he had a habit of calling his dad that time of the morning frequently, or if it was just completely...
Well, is it 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time to 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time? That would make sense.
Out of the blue for some reason.
But 6 o'clock in the morning Eastern time would be 3 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. The math checks out, y'all. By the way, TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. Come over to the Mystery Project on YouTube. Come subscribe. If you want to watch the video, you can see the video. Plus, we're going to do some Too Hot for Talk. You know, because TikTok gets mad at everything you say and do now. So we're going to talk about some more stuff over there when this video ends in about 5 minutes.
Now, one last thing that I wanted to talk about dealing with this episode from Dateline. After this incident, Dateline reported in this episode that Bryan had been watching YouTube videos about the incident and documentaries about Ted Bundy. He
oh, hell.
also Googled his...
The first video I ever did on TikTok was with true crime related, was about Bryan Kohberger, and it got like almost 6 million views. So he probably saw the video that I did about him. Wait, no, I guess it wouldn't, because he was already in jail by then. I don't know. Let's keep going.
Name over and over again around the same time as when he started taking these selfies of himself in this black hoodie. He also was listening.
What in the hell? Dude looks nuts right there. Why would you have those pictures?
To a cover of the song Criminal by Britney Spears on YouTube. Was he romanticizing himself?
God, put him in jail for that alone.
Was he like getting ready to go on a spree? Did he think that he was going to be the next TB, you know, because we've talked about this before. TB literally went into a college house and left a couple people alive there, and their lives were never the same. And they dealt with a lot from the public the same way that the surviving roommates of the Idaho home are. And was he thinking he was going to be this person? And you guys, I know some of y'all still have questions about if he's being set up or not. And I'm going to say again, there's a lot of cases, in my opinion, where that question, from my point of view, is totally valid. Like the Karen Reed trial. I mean, the more you watch it, the more it's like, what are they doing? Why are they trying this woman? This has got to be some sort of cover up, in my personal opinion. But in this case, the amount...
What do y'all think about that one?
Amount of overwhelming evidence is shocking, just from what we know so far. And we still don't even know what all is going to be put out in the trial. But what I will tell y'all is Ted...
Hey, Galaxy again, check in. Ethan's wifey, thank you.
Ted denied doing those crimes the whole time he was in trial, and he had all these supporters, all these people there for him.
He got married in court.
Smiling, having his back, believing that he was being set up, okay? He denied it for years in prison.
Are you angry? Sure, I get angry. You're very, very angry. Believe me, I've grown in the past year.
Oh.
And mind you, even
man, you sound crazy as hell.
Ted's own mother
Bundy
and father believed that he was innocent for years after he was found guilty. They're sitting at home thinking that their poor son is sitting in prison for something that he did not do.
In fact, up until Saturday, I didn't believe any of it. For 13 years, he's sworn up and down, backwards and forwards, that he was innocent. And then all of a sudden, we believed him. We wanted to believe him. He's still our son.
He never came out and admitted to what he did until right before he was administered the DP, because he wanted to make right with God. That's when he came out and gave interviews and told the truth. And he also talked about where his fantasies started. And he said it was when he was about 8 years old, I believe it was. He was walking through an alley and he found a BDSM magazine, and he was young and he became obsessed with things of this nature at a young age.
Oh, hell.
And he also said in that interview right before he crossed over that he believed, and from being in prison with other people that were on death row, that the majority of people on death row started watching or looking at things of that nature at a very young age, and it twisted their minds.
Listen, I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I mean, I don't pretend that I know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now. And I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is that's true, and it's real. It's
very, very interesting. And now here he is, looking like he could have been romanticizing him. What do y'all think? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. They did say at the end of the documentary, they mentioned this alternate person theory, but it was very fleeting. And you know, when the trial happens, I'll be very interested to see what the defense comes up with after 3 years, if they have been able to come up with a name of a person that maybe their DNA is on something and not just Bryan.
That is crazy as hell. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. That's a lot. That is a lot. TikTok, hit the follow button. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, we're live every night, but we're going to dive into some stuff that TikTok doesn't want you to hear. They will shut the stream down and everything. So we're going to end the TikTok stream and y'all come over to YouTube. The Mystery Project. Everybody type it in the chat. The Mystery Project. The Mystery Project. Come right now because we're going to go through some things that TikTok doesn't want you to see. So y'all hit the follow button. Come over right now. The Mystery Project. I'll see you guys over there. And YouTube. We're here. All right, let me grab my headphones because YouTube gets crazy as hell. So check these out. So this one right here, look, it starts off a misty blue. What's blue think here? Well, Bryan Kohberger and his team have shown more class, integrity, and intellect throughout these 2 years than these MSM ghouls. What? Every time I listen to that defense attorney, I'm like, what the hell are they even talking about? I'm living in a reality that does not exist in Idaho. One of us ain't playing with a full deck. If you saw this Bryan Kohberger selfie that the prosecution wants you to see, you will believe this living corpse just a few hours before was able to break into a house he had never been in before, overpower and mass murder 4 people, and leave no real DNA. What do y'all think about that? Oh, is this the full
Performed
clip?
a U-turn at the intersection of King Road and Queen Road and headed back toward the house. At 4:07 a.m., the car drove in one last time, approaching the house at 1122 King Road.
Oh, yeah, this is the full clip.
So now it's time.
Police believe the driver and a knife with a 7-inch performed a U-turn at the intersection of road.
So now it's time.
Police believe the driver and a knife with a 7-inch blade, the Marine Corps Fighting K-Bar. And we've also spoken to source former resident.
Oh, they're going to get mad as hell if I play all that video. Oh, yeah, this is what y'all were talking about. This is what you guys were talking about, where Dateline got in trouble because they, look right here, either somebody associated currently or formerly with law enforcement or the prosecution team violated the court's non-dissemination order by giving that to them. The problem is people like you on every platform. Judge Hippler is not happy. He realizes someone currently or formerly leaked that. I've discussed this in great length. Great reporters have great sources, just like great agents in the FBI have great sources. The problem is, in the case, there's a gag order. I have no idea who the source is, but it seems Judge Hippler will be doing everything in his power to get to the bottom of it. I believe no one at Dateline will ever give up their source. Ooh, what do y'all think? You think they can give up that source? What else we're going? Bryan Kohberger is toast. His DNA was left under Madison Mogul's fingernails on her left hand. Did that get proven? You read the report and didn't understand it? Read it again. Oh, damn. People calling this dude out. Source. The court documents say the opposite. Uh-oh. I'm so happy the Judge Hipler will not be allowing the surviving victims to be subject to the cameras as they testify. Excellent ruling. Oh, so the surviving roommates don't have to be on the camera? Well. Jen McCabe Googled herself on 2/2/22, the first day Karen Reed was brought into court. Bryan Kohberger also Googled himself after the murders, and this is being considered as incriminating evidence. Let that sink in. Ooh. Did y'all know that Jim McCabe did that? She searched herself. The judge in Bryan Kohberger case even says the two survivors are victims, so leave them alone. Let's hear it.
Particular the victims, and I should point out I am going to reserve 2 seats for the 2 surviving roommates who are technically victims of the burglary. I don't know whether they would have any desire to be here. I suspect not, given the way they've been treated in the media. But if they do, that they would have seats available. But particularly,
ooh, that's great. Look at it. Look at the way he's just sitting right there too. What do you think? What do you think will happen? Like when the two, like if the 2 surviving roommates come into the court and they sit there and like they just, like she just knows it's him. Do you know what I mean? Like imagine that she just knows. She looks at him. She's like, that's him for sure. By the way, YouTube, if you're here, if you came over from TikTok, let me know in the comments. But make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button for me. Let's get 100 likes. We need like 44 likes to get to 100. So if you're watching right now, just hit the thumbs up button for me. It helps tremendously on YouTube. And subscribe, obviously, if you're new here. All right, let's keep going. I want to see what else. What else is up here? See, but when he says this, but everybody called him out for lying on the other one. The house where Bryan Kohberger was arrested in is a very dark gated community in Monroe, Pennsylvania. The front door has duct tape covering it where it looks like a window was broken out. What? Sorry, oh, that's a very, very dark video. Oh, no, there we go. Man, that's... What are you doing? That's a good way to get Second Amendmented. Why would you go to somebody's house in the dead of the night and ring the doorbell like that? You about to get 2A'd. This is nuts. Oh, yeah. Look, that's duct tape and everything right there. Is this real life? Did somebody actually do this? Nope. That's crazy. Yeah, nobody came to the door. I've always felt this blood was coming from the pipes, which may be leading to the bathroom, which was used to clean up the blood inside. Second photo, is this also blood leaking from upstairs? Me after seeing Howard Blum on the new Dateline episode. Oh, hell. Oh, God, that dude, look, block me because he can't handle the truth. Did true crime journalism tourism by streaming for clout. He sees nothing wrong with Dateline violating the gag order. Oh, hell. I mean, that's a crazy picture. Tainting the jury pool. Do y'all think that they tainted the jury pool by playing that? I mean, basically the people consuming that are the people that are watching these kind of streams anyways. You know what I mean? That is a crazy picture, though. All right, what we got here?
Assistant with we have now found out that he actually applied to be a research assistant with the Pullman, Washington Police Department, and didn't just apply, but even had some kind of virtual interview with the chief. And we've been able to obtain one of the emails that he wrote to the chief. I want to read it to you. It says,
"Wait, didn't
Chief Jenkins?
Didn't that get disproved? Didn't the chief? I remember them saying that, but didn't they say that it wasn't even real? Something about that wasn't real. I can't remember what it was.
It was a great pleasure to meet with you today and share my thoughts and excitement regarding the research assistantship for public safety. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Best regards, Bryan. He applied for this internship for fall 2022. Obviously, just very, very strange to think about what we know now. The fact that he was having these intimate meetings with the police department, emailing the police chief, and then the way everything turned out.
I mean, fall 2022 is exactly when the murders happened, November 13th. That's just unbelievable. But so here's the $64,000 question. Did he get the job? I know he was a highly ranked candidate, like, I don't know, one of the top 10 or so, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. We don't know. We don't know whether he got the job or, where this went from there. We just don't know. But what I can tell you is that very police department that was out there as part of the search at his apartment right there in Pullman when they pulled all that stuff out after he was arrested for the murders.
And I'm looking at this. He was actually not one of 10. He was one of 4 finalists. He was really in the running, but I got to find out if he got that job. And then all of a sudden just, disappeared because, he was arrested. All right.
That is crazy.
All right. So the next question is the one about Kaylee Gonzalez being a true crime fan and having interaction with the very police department that, is investigating her case.
Yeah, this is sad. You mentioned it. We've heard from Kaylee's family before that she was a true crime fan, and this sort of backs that up. She had seen a poster of a missing woman, 62-year-old missing woman from Coeur d'Alene named Sharon Archer, and knew that this woman was missing. Apparently thought that she saw Sharon at a Walmart and knew enough to call police and was in touch with police in Moscow. Some of the same police officers who would eventually, sadly, be working on the homicide investigation involving her. But yeah, she saw the woman that she thought was missing, and she made the call.
And it turns out that she dealt with an officer that is now, I think, the lead, or at least one of the lead investigators in her murder case. Like, the coincidence is just off the chain.
Yeah.
Off the chain.
Yeah, exactly. It is off the chain. And again, I get sad about it because I just think about, again, the fact that she was trying to help someone else. I've heard from her sister that's the kind of person she was. I mean, she went out of her way to remember the poster and then to call police. And of course, then you just think about the way her life tragically ended.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, hopefully they're just as inspired by her as her sister is to really get justice for her. So the next thing is the one I think that bothers me the most in this case, and that is that the public defender who was assigned to Bryan Kohberger's case, Ann Taylor, look, she's a really good lawyer, excellent lawyer. She's had great track record, but it turns out she's had at least 4 cases that she has worked on specifically regarding one of the victims that Bryan Kohberger is alleged to have murdered, Xana Kernodle. So she has actually worked with
that's right, because like her mom or something like that.
Xana Kernodle's mother on 4 different cases. I don't understand how this happened.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, it's a, there's not a lot of public defenders. That might be one of the explanations in Idaho, but you're right. I mean, the fact that that Ann Taylor, the
Just
now
not
public
enough.
defender for Bryan Kohberger, was the lawyer for Xana Kernodle's mother, Kara, on her possession of a controlled substance charge. She was Xana's mom's lawyer when Bryan was arrested. And it was on January 5th, the same day that she was put on the Kohberger case, that she filed these documents and said, wait a minute, I want to get off of the Kernodle case.
Damn. That's crazy. Anyone who truly believes Bryan Kohberger is innocent needs a sanity check. Oh, hell. Selfies that Bryan Kohberger took on his own phone just days before the arrest. He appears to still be using at the time. Man, why would you take these pictures? Like, what he's gonna use that one for his Tinder profile? Hey, ladies, anybody else really like to go hiking? Y'all want to go look at the stars on a very stormy, cloudy night? That's what I'm into. Yeah. What the? That is crazy. Oh, is this the whole thing?
Neighborhood minutes before. That's video footage of suspect vehicle 1 circling the King Road neighborhood minutes before 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. And a new report by Dateline reveals Bryan Kohberger's Google searches about pornography, serial killer Ted Bundy, and the possible.
Oh, hell. That's what we just listened to, though. Thanks, Law and Crime. Oh, yeah, look at that. That is crazy right there. Look at that. Let's see. Apparently, the 1122 King Road house can be seen from Sigma Chi House really well. Right, you can see the King Road house from room. Once that 3rd floor light turned off, they did it. 19 minutes total, walk included. Talked about this at the Bishop Kelly. Got in a fight that night. Ex allegedly. What is that all about? Oh, see, look, there you go. That's the leak right there. Like, breaking news. Special prosecutor assigned for the Dateline leak. Bryan's phone could be tossed and everything that flowed from it. Chain of custody busted. Whoa. Dateline's discovered sources. What? Okay, let's read this. My sister's best friend from college is married to an FBI agent. He was one of the first FBI agents allowed at the scene in Moscow. Apparently, the murder's knife sheath was found under the body of Ethan. They were able to find DNA on the sheath and sent it to 23andMe. Jesus, that's the wrong place. A cousin of the killer was done 23andMe. So they were able to somehow link to the killer. That and a cat happened to be taking a pee and set off a nearby Ring camera, which is where they were able to see the Hyundai Elantra, which, of course, the killer drove. They tracked him to Pennsylvania. He was home on winter break with family, and agents posed as garbage men and went through the family's garbage to find DNA and confirm the DNA match from the text message my sister received from the FBI agent. Apparently, it is one of the most gruesome crime scenes he's ever been a part of. Ethan's legs were sliced all the way down the hamstring. Oh my God. One of the girls was stabbed 54 times and so badly that every bone in her face was broken. And so sunken in, she was unrecognizable. Dear Lord. Oh, what the hell is this? What is this? At least one of the ones she was found, there was a white boyfriend. They were stabbed to death. Rumor here is that it was a disgruntled boyfriend of one of the girls. This is the part that doesn't make sense to anyone I've talked to. Seemingly nobody has any idea what is going on other than generic. It was a targeted attack. Oh my God. Dear Lord. Bryan Kohberger considered himself in the investigation hyper aware of where BK lived. Frat connection. Took a week off. Oh, is this one of the kids talking about the behavioral changes?
He was pretty strict as far as grading goes. When he
I
came
think I
into
remember
class,
seeing this.
he was
This was a
very,
while back.
not super mentally present. He would stand up at the front, look at the ground. He had a lot of like boilerplate responses he would give people rather.
Let's see what's going on with the latest. Bryan Kohberger's team leaking the info makes sense to me. Why is this so complicated to understand? Bryan understood he would be captured. All of this is expected. Now onto ditching the death penalty. That's the goal and the only goal. I don't know. Let's do some more research, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Make sure you like the video. Did we get 100 likes? We're very close, y'all. 14 people. 14 people watching right now. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Y'all be safe.